Hello everyone, it's Becca from Becca Books and Bujo, and today we are talking about all of the books I read in November. Let's jump right in because there's no time to waste because it's late and I'm tired. So some stats before we talk about the books. I read 11 books that amounted to 3,977 pages. As for the genre, 2 of them are contemporary, 1 was a fantasy, 1 was a mystery, 1 was a nonfiction, 4 were romance, and 2 were thriller. So definitely read a lot more romance in the month of November than anything else. Let's see, the audience, 9 of them were for adults, 1 of them was a new adult, Colleen Hoover, and 1 of them was a young adult. As far as format, I read 4 of them just physically, 6 of them on audio, and 1 of them was an ebook. So no combination. Normally I do a lot of tandem reads, but not this month. And lastly, my average rating was a 4.05, so pretty dang good. I think I had 3 5 stars. I had a couple DNFs that I don't count in that average rating. So yeah, I had 3 5 stars, 5 4 stars, 1 3.5, and 2 3s. So pretty dang good. Let's jump in. We'll start with just showing you the DNFs because I'm not going to talk about them. Cold Mountain by Charles Frazier. I DNF'd this. I was listening to it, trying to complete it quickly for my These Books Will Self-Destruct, and just wasn't excited about it whatsoever. The other one I was reading physically, well, actually on ebook, but that was The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. I just found that I didn't really care. There was a mystery element involved and I just didn't want to know what actually happened. I loved the book concept and how these people, these librarians, needed to steal books to preserve them in their library and keep those words alive, you could say, but that was really the only thing I liked about it. So DNF'd that one as well. I think I'm getting better at DNFing. I know what kind of a book I want, and if it's not going to be there for me, I'm not going to read it. And I think that shows too with my ratings. Like, all of my books are 3 or above. So I DNF the 2s or the 1s, you know, the ones that would get those ratings. I think that's good. I think we're finding my reading stride. Okay, let's talk about the 3 stars. And the first one I'll just bring up quickly is Toddlers Are A-Holes by Unmi Laditan. This is one that my husband and I picked up at a local toy store. It was sitting up by the register and we thought it looked funny. And it was indeed funny. We got a laugh out of reading it together before we went to bed. We'd just read a couple of chapters, well, mostly just a couple of pages before bed every night. And it just made us laugh because toddlers are really hard sometimes, and it's nice to hear that from other people, that it's not just us. So I appreciated this one. Another 3-star was A Trick of the Light by Louise Penny. This is the 7th in the Chief Inspector Armand Gamache series that Louise Penny writes. It is a mystery series that takes place in this small town of Three Pines in Quebec, Canada, and I usually really like these, and so this was kind of a disappointment, I would say. This one focused heavily on the art scene, and maybe that's why it just didn't work for me, like paintings, art work. In this one, 2 of our people from Three Pines, Clara and Peter, find a dead woman in their garden. And of course, Armand Gamache is called in to figure out what happened. Why was she dead? Who killed her? How did it happen? Etc. That's how a mystery works usually, right? Okay, Becca. And yeah, I wasn't feeling it with this one. I don't know, which is too bad. I hope that I can continue with this series and pick them up and enjoy them more, but this one just fell a little flat for me. So yeah, I hope to continue, and I hope that the subsequent books in the series are just a little bit more thrilling than this one. And I think the art aspect was just a little hard for me to get through, I guess. Okay, enough of that one. I'm going fast, you guys. Can you tell? I'm trying to just like be quick. Okay, what 4 stars do I have next? Oh, not a 4-star, but a 3.5. We have Going Zero by Anthony McCartan. I first heard about this book from Amanda from the channel On the Middle Shelf, and it just sounded so thrilling that I needed to give it a try. In this book, 10 people are given the opportunity to try to go zero or escape from the eyes of this tech company mixed with the CIA. And so you need to completely disappear off of the grid. And that concept completely pulled me in. I loved following the 10 different people and what kind of tactics they took in order to evade this company and the government. And you also got it from the tech company's side. The main owner of the company, I can't even remember his name anymore, but we got to see inside of his head and see where he came from in trying to find these people. And it was really thrilling. I loved like the first half to 2/3, but then this other storyline comes in and there are more motivations behind one of the people who is going zero, and I was just more in it for the game and seeing if anybody could officially escape this company and the CIA. And then there was more brought into it, and I just didn't really like the way that that storyline took the whole book, but it was still really fun. And it makes you think like how much the government slash our phones know about us, and some of it is really convenient, right? Like when we get things recommended for us that could really work for us, but sometimes it's a little creepy when I'm just talking to my husband about buying a new comforter and then all of a sudden it shows up in my Facebook feed. Like a little weird. So yeah, makes you think, and makes you think about how if you tried to go zero, could you actually? And probably none of us could. So yeah, creepy. Let's talk about some 4 stars. The first one is this really old Kristen Hanna. This is called If You Believe. It is like almost a Harlequin romance. People, who knew that Kristen Hanna wrote like this? This book takes place in the 1800s, I think, 1894, and it is a romance between 2 unlikely people. Mad Dog. How did I remember that? Because his name is Mad Dog. He is a fighter, like boxing fighter, and he winds up on this farm in the middle of nowhere, Washington, where all of Kristen Hanna's books take place, and falls in love with this woman on a farm who never leaves the farm. And I don't know, I just found it so quaint and comforting, and I really actually liked it. It must just be a Kristen Hanna thing for me. I like her writing, I like her characters, she draws you in, and I enjoyed myself. Yeah, this was one that I read really quickly while I had COVID, and so I don't know, it was good. Another 4 star, we have The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, which, you guys, someone just told me, yeah, Erin Sterling is actually a pen name for Rachel Hawkins. I just saw that on one of somebody's Vlogmas videos, and my mind was like, what? No clue. I thought Erin Sterling was a real person. I mean, she is a real person. She's Rachel Hawkins. But Erin Sterling writes the romance for Rachel Hawkins. Anyway, this is the second in the X-Hex series. In this book, we follow 2 different characters, so it's more of a companion. We follow a different Penhallow brother. We follow Wells and Gwyn. Gwyn Jones is the cousin of the main character in the X-Hex, and she owns this witchy shop in Graves Glen. And much to her dismay, one day, Wells Penhallow shows up and opens a witchy store right across the street. And so they are in competition with each other, really don't like each other, enemies, but then a love potion hits, and they have this connection to each other that can't be broken. There's also like this underlying weird thing happening with Gwyn Jones, and people want her magic, and yeah, it was fun. It was sweet. I listened to it in like 2 days. Super fun, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. The Wedding Wish comes out next year, so I'm excited for that, just in time for spooky season. I'm glad I read these books in these last couple of months. Okay, another 4 star. We've got Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. In this one, we follow the same characters, Pip, of course. Pip Amobi Fitzamobi. She, in the first book, solved this crime, and now in the second book she is talking about it in a podcast, and then somebody wants to use her podcast to try to solve a different mystery, and it was good. The first how much do I equate it with? The first 2/3 maybe, I was a little bored. Like, I didn't see where the book was. I mean, I saw where it was going, but it just wasn't as thrilling as the first book. But then the last third got me. I was like crying. Tears were coming down. Like, the grief that Pip felt, I felt it. I felt it. And I just felt for the characters in a way that I hadn't in a long time, which was kind of surprising for a YA thriller mystery. But I cried. I don't want to talk about too much because it's a sequel, but I really like the way these are set up. I've heard that actually listening to them is better because it's a full cast audio. I didn't. I read it physically and I enjoyed it just as much. So yeah, I can't wait to read the last in the series. What is it? What is it? As Good as Dead, I think. And then there's also like a prequel. I don't know. I'm excited to read it. I think I have one more 4-star. Are we going too fast? I hope not. Let me know. Do you prefer a longer, more drawn out wrap up, or are you okay with these short little snippets that I'm given? Let me know in the comments. Okay, the last 4-star I have is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. I should have a physical book here holding it up and showing you, but I actually lent it to my parents. They were going on a long road trip and needed a book to read out loud to each other as they were driving, and I thought that that would be a good one for them. In this book, I actually talked about this book in length in one of my vlogs, my vlog that I had that illness. Did I? Anyway, this book is about a mom telling her story of her past and her past loves to her 3 daughters. I just really enjoyed listening to this, especially Meryl Streep narrates the audiobook, and it feels like I was Meryl Streep's daughter listening to the stories of her young life. It was just so good and so sweet, and like nothing super amazing happened, but I still was so intrigued to hear the stories and figure out what happened to this woman in her past. So yeah, I liked it a lot, and I actually talked about it with my book club with my friends, and they all really liked it too. So great. Next up we have 3 5-stars. I cannot believe I had that many 5 stars. I feel like that is a really good reading month. So the first of the 5 stars was Reminders of Him by none other than Colleen Hoover. You guys, Colleen Hoover just gets me. She pulls me in. I can't stop reading. I need to know what happens next. And they're always like super intense romances. Like something big is going on in these characters' lives, and there's a romance too. So I just really liked this one. I can't remember the characters' names, but I'll tell you a little bit about them. The woman in the story is coming back to her town after being in prison for a certain amount of years, like 4 or 5 years, something like that, and she's coming back to her town to make things right. I can't remember what's in the synopsis, and so I don't want to give too much away, but it's intense. She has a lot of struggles trying to get back in people's good graces, and just I felt for her because she's a mom and she needed to be there for her child. I hope that didn't give too much away. Yeah, I don't know. They're so unrealistic, these books by Colleen Hoover. Like, would that actually happen in real life? I mean, sure, it's probably happened somewhere, but I know it's unrealistic, and I'm there for it. It's fiction, you know? That's what it is. Okay, the next 5-star I had was The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This chunker of a book, almost 800 pages, I absolutely loved. I think it was definitely the character of Theodore Decker. I loved him so much and I cared so much about him and what was going to happen to him next that I just had to keep reading. I did talk about this book in length in one of my videos. I don't think I finished it in one of my weekend reading vlogs, but I read quite a bit of it and got super close to finishing. So I'm just going to say this book is about Theodore Decker. In his young life, a tragedy happens where he loses his mother, and in that tragedy he becomes the owner of a very famous piece of art, and he has to kind of just live his life while also having this piece of artwork with him. And I don't know what it was because nothing remarkable happened in his life, but he had so many hardships and just took it in stride. And I just really loved the writing of this book and Theodore Decker as a person. This is coming out like blah, blah, blah. But I loved it. I really loved it. Which I'm surprised about because I did not like The Secret History. And you know, one of my viewers, one of you told me that they didn't like The Secret History either, but they loved The Goldfinch. So you and I, we're on the same page. We like this one, but do not like The Secret History. And I've heard that some people hated this one and couldn't complete it because I understand it's very character driven. And if you don't like this character of Theodore Decker, why would you want to read the book? Because it's only about him. And it's like light and fluffy. Like, I feel like it takes 80 pages to talk about one thing that Theodore did in one day, which, you know, I was here for. I enjoyed it. So that's The Goldfinch. I'm glad I finally read it. It was on my self-destruct TBR for the year, and I literally have had it on my shelves for probably 10 years. I mean, I think it came out in 2013, and I think I bought it shortly thereafter. So crazy. Crazy. Okay, the last 5-star I have on here to talk about is In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. And you're saying, Rebecca Yarros? Yes, she doesn't just write Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. She has romance books, and I absolutely loved it. Ate it up. That's all I'm going to tell you because I have a separate vlog where I'm reading Goodreads Choice Awards winners. Not winners, nominees. And this was nominated for the romance category. And I understand why. I really, really liked it. And I'll talk more about maybe some of the issues that people have with the book in my Goodreads Choice Awards vlog that's hopefully coming out next week. But have I read any of the other books for the vlog? So we'll see. We'll see when that comes out. But if you want to know my thoughts on In the Likely Event in depth, stay tuned for that video. Subscribe so that you don't miss it. Anyway, I think we covered all the books that I read in November. Editing Becca jumping in to say, if you were counting along, I completely forgot a book. I also finished The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana in November, and I gave that one 4 stars. I really, really loved the found family and the mentorship that the main character, can't remember her name, had for the 3 younger witches. I liked the romance. I liked the suspense of other witches finding out about these other witches and the witchiness. How many times can I say witches? Anyway, it's going to be a short little synopsis of that book because I want to get this video uploaded. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. If you agreed with me, or if you didn't, it'd be great to have some bookish discussion down with you below in the comments. Thank you again so much for watching. Like this video on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!